I remember I was standing in our space, our faith space. I was looking out, and we were looking out into the neighborhood. And there was a young man who got on his bike and he rode from his house, which was like maybe 6 houses in, down to the end of the street and back. Down to the end of the street and back, just back and forth. And that's as far as he went. That was so symbolic of the lack of safety, of the lack of places to go. It was like, yes, this is what needs to happen. This is what this neighborhood deserves. And let's take everything we've learned in the last 12 years and put it into a space to pour into hopefully thousands of more young people, and do it based off of what we've learned, like what we know has worked, what has been proven to work in the time that we've been doing it.
There are so few places around the city that are actually meant specifically for kind of like young and later teenage years. That's something that in the park system we've tried to do for a very long time, is create spaces that have all of that. And but then again, specifically, I feel like it's pretty hard for those teenage years to feel like a space is interesting enough that you're driven to go there with your friends in a time in your life where you're not a kid anymore. You don't want the playground, but you're also not an adult, and you can't go to a lot of those third places that adults typically utilize. That's what makes this space especially meaningful in the ways that it's going to be activated and utilized by every age group.
I think the Merritt Park project really gives young people in our community the opportunities that they wouldn't have without projects like Merritt Park.
We're talking sports, we're talking career development, we're talking all kinds of cultural things, we're talking culinary opportunities. You just don't see that kind of diversity in one place, in my opinion. I actually haven't seen it in any one site. They're usually about one thing, recreation or something else. This is about multiple things that are ultimately about developing a whole mind, and that's exciting.
For me, it's like this connection between a huge gap in resources that neighborhood and the people of the neighborhood have experienced over the last 5 to 6 decades. It's the lack of spaces for young people to gather. It's the lack of spaces for people to gather. And then combining that lack with a space and a platform that we believe is like this connection point between sport, between educational opportunities, between workforce development in a community that you would not expect $13 to $15 million to be put on the ground. That's what is like so exciting for me.
I think Merritt Park is the transformative project that this neighborhood didn't know it needed. This neighborhood is going to see, and I think the world is going to see, what is possible in a Detroit neighborhood that no longer is Midtown and it's about downtown, but what's happening right here on Grand River in Livernois.